Hello students, in commerce now we are going to see unit 8. Under that we are going to see the lesson Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881. So here so many subtopics are given. So under this negotiable instruments meaning, characteristics and assumptions, then negotiability and assignability, then bills of exchange, check, promissory note, a comparison. The next topic is crossing of check and the last topic is endorsement. So now we are going to see the negotiable instruments meaning, characteristics and assumptions. So a negotiable instrument means it is a signed document that promises a sum of payment to a specified person or the assignee. So the payee, which is the person who received the payment, must be named or otherwise it indicates on the instrument. So here the word instrument, negotiable means it transferable from one person to another in return for consideration. The word instrument means it is a written document by which a right is created in favor of certain person. So here the law which is relating to the negotiable instruments is dealt in the Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881. So this act speaks more about the promissory note, bills of exchange and even the checks. So this is all about the negotiable instrument. Thus, it terms that negotiable instrument literally means a written document which is transferable by delivery. And also this word negotiable means transferable by delivery, and the word instrument means a written document which a right is created in the favor of some person. Next, we are going to see the definition of negotiable instrument. According to section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881, a negotiable instrument means it is a promissory note, bill of exchange or check which is payable either to order or to bearer. So the negotiable instrument may be made payable to two or more payees jointly, or it may be made payable in the alternative to one of two or one or some of several payees. So this is the definition for negotiable instrument. The next one is characteristics of negotiable instrument. Under this three characteristics are there. The first one is transferability. The second one is title of the holder free from all defects, and third characteristics is right of the transferee to sue. Now we are going to see first one, transferability. Transferability means it is a negotiable instrument which is transferable from one person to another without any formality such as affixing stamp, registration, etc. So the transferability can only be done by the lawful title holder, and it is a complete process. In other words, the property in the instrument can be transferred by endorsement and from delivery. This is called to be as transferability. The next point is title of the holder free from all defects. That means the holder, one who acquires the instrument in good faith and for consideration in due course, gets the title free from all defects. In other words, even though the right of the person who transferred the instrument to holder in due course is defective, that is disentitled to transfer, the title of the holder in due course is superior. So he or she need not return the bill to true owner. For example, A sold certain goods to B. B gives a bill of exchange to S for the price. Later, B refuses to pay the bill of exchange on the ground that the goods supplied are defective. Meanwhile, A endorsed the bill to C. In this case, B's defense is of no value. C is a holder in due course. His title is not affected by certain defense like fraud or misrepresentation or any mistake. So this is all about title of the holder free from all the defects. The next point is right of the transferee to sue. In case if he transfers his right, the transferee of a negotiable instrument is entitled to sue on the instrument in his own name in case of dishonor without giving notice to the debtor of the fact that he has become the holder. So this is all about right of the transferee to sue. Now we are going to see the presumptions to negotiable instrument. Under this, certain presumptions are given. The first presumption is every negotiable instrument is presumed to have been drawn, accepted, etc. for certain consideration. The second presumption is a negotiable instrument is presumed to have been accepted. And the third point is every negotiable instrument bearing a date is presumed to have been made or drawn on such a date. And the next point is it is presumed to have been accepted within a reasonable time after the date and before its maturity. And the next point is the transfer of a negotiable instrument is presumed to have been made before the maturity time. And the next point is the endorsements appearing upon a negotiable instrument are presumed to have been made in the order to which they appear thereon. And the next point is when a negotiable instrument has been lost, it is presumed to have been duly stamped. And the last presumption is the holder of a negotiable instrument is presumed to be a holder in due course. These are all the presumptions of negotiable instrument. The next topic we are going to see is negotiability and assignability. So here now we are going to see negotiability. Negotiability refers to the transferability of all the rights and titles of an instrument by delivery or by endorsement and delivery, vesting with the bona fide transferee for value even better title than what the transferor had. So this is the unique characteristics of a negotiable instrument. In short, transferability of negotiable instrument is called negotiability. So this is all about negotiability, and the next topic is assignability. Assignability refers to the transferability of personal properties and rights from one person to another as a gift or sale or as security. The transferee gets the same as much title as the transferor has. In short, transferability of the ownership of any goods other than the negotiable instruments is called to be as an assignability. So these are all about the meaning of assignability. The next topic we are going to see is the difference between the negotiability and the assignability. So under this negotiability and assignability, so some of the basic of differences as given. The first difference is legal ownership. So in legal ownership under the negotiability, a negotiable instrument is a piece of paper which entitles a person to a sum of money and which is transferable from person to person by mere delivery or by endorsement and delivery. So the person who has that entitlement and possesses the instrument is considered as the true owner of negotiability. So this is the legal ownership of negotiability. And in assignability, an assignment can be made by observing the certain formalities. For instance, an instrument is to be made in writing or duly stamped and signed by the transferor or his agent. So this is the main differences between the negotiability and assignability of the legal ownership. And the second difference is notice. So under negotiability, notice is not necessary for the holder of negotiable instrument to claim the payment from the debtor. But in assignability, in case of actionable claim, the notice of the assignment by the transferee, it regarding the transfer of debt to the debtor is necessary. So the third difference is nature of title. Under negotiability, the holder of negotiable instrument in due course gets a better title than even the transferor. It means the transferee gets the instrument free from any defect existing in the title of the transferor or any prior party. But in assignability, the transferee's title to the instrument is subject to the defects of the transferor's title. In other words, defects in the title of the transferor pass on to the transferee too. So these are the differences of negotiability and assignability under the nature of title. And the last difference is consideration. So under this negotiability, the consideration is presumed. But in assignability, the assignee has to prove the consideration for the transfer. So these are the differences between the negotiability and the assignability. The next topic is Bill of Exchange. Bill of Exchange means according to section 5 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, a bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order which is signed by the maker directing a certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. This is called to be as a bill of exchange. Next, here I have given the sample format for bill of exchange. So it contains place, date, amount, drawers and drawee's name and address. The next topic is characteristics of bill of exchange. So here they are given 9 characteristics. So we can see the first point is a bill of exchange is a document in writing. The second one is the document, it should contain an order to pay. The third point is the order must be unconditional. And the fourth point is the instrument must be signed by the person who draws it. And the fifth point is the name of the person on whom the bill is drawn must be specified in the bill itself. And the sixth point is the drawer, drawee and the payee must all be certain. A bill cannot be drawn on 2 or more drawees in the alternative, because where liability lies, no ambiguity must lie. However, alternative payees are permitted in the law. The next characteristics is the amount that is required to be paid must also be specified in the bill. And the next point is the bill may be payable on demand or after a specified period. And the last point is it should fully comply with formalities regarding the date, consideration, stamps, etc. So these are the characteristics of bill of exchange, and also this bill of exchange can be made payable on demand to a person. It can be made payable after a specified period, but it cannot be payable to bearer on demand. So these are all about the characteristics of bill of exchange. The next topic is about check. According to section 6 of the Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881, it defines a check as a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker and not expressed to be payable otherwise than on demand. This is called check. Here I have given a specimen of check. So under this we can see the date and the amount, which is in words as well as in numbers. The next topic is about features of check. Under this we can see the first one is instrument in writings. Instrument in writings means the check may be written in hand by using ink or ballpoint pen. It may be typed or even it may be printed, but the customer should not use the pencil to fill up the check form. Even though other columns may be permitted to be written in hand or printed or typed, the signatures should be made by ink pen or ballpoint pen by the maker. So this is called to be as an instrument in writing. So the next one is unconditional orders. Unconditional orders means the order to pay the amount must be unconditional. If there is any condition imposed to pay the amount to the holder of the check, then it will not be considered as a check. In other words, payment of money is made dependent on the happening of an event or on a fulfillment of a conditional. So the instrument loses the characteristics of a check. The next one is drawn on a specified banker only. That means for the validity of a check, it must draw on a specified banker. If there is not mentioned in the check about the banker, it would not be a valid check. In addition to it, it must contain all the three parties, that is drawer, drawee and payee. So the customer of a banker can draw the check only on the particular branch of the bank where he has an account. This is called to be as a drawn on a specified banker only. And the next point is, next feature is a certain sum of money only. A certain sum of money only means the order must be only for the payment of a certain sum of money only. It is clear that orders asking the banker to deliver securities or certain other things cannot be regarded as check. It must also be noted that the sum of money to be paid must be certain. This is called to be as a certain sum of money only. The next point is payee to be certain. That means the check must be made payable to a certain person or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. The word person includes bodies corporate, local authorities, associations, holders of office of an institution, etc. It may be anything. That is called to be as a payee to be certain. And the next feature is signed by the drawer. That means the check is to be signed by the drawer. Further, it should tally with specimen signature furnished to the bank at the time of opening the account. So that is called to be as a signed by the drawer. And the last feature is about payable always on demand. That means a check is always payable on demand. The words on demand are not used when the drawee bank is asked to pay and the time for its payment is not specified. It is considered to be as an payable on demand. These are all about the check and the features of check. Now, the next topic we are going to see is the differences between the bill of exchange and a check. So, under this bill of exchange and check, there are so many basic of differences I have given. According to that, we are going to see. So, the first basic of difference is drawn. Under this bill of exchange, drawn means a bill of exchange can be drawn on any person including a banker. But in check, a check can be drawn only on a particular banker. And the second difference is payability. Payability means under bill of exchange, it is payable on demand or on the expiry of a certain period. But in check, it is payable on demand only. The third difference is validity. Validity under bill of exchange means a bill made payable to bearer on demand is void by virtue of section 31 of the RBI Act. But under in check, a check drawn payable to bearer on demand is perfectly valid. And the next difference is acceptance. Under bill of exchange, in case of a time bill, acceptance by the drawee is necessary before he can be made liable on it. Under the check, a check does not require any acceptance. And the next difference is grace period. Under bill of exchange, 3 days of grace are allowed while calculating the maturity date in the case of time bill. But in check, no days of grace are allowed in the case of a check for the simple reason that is always payable on demand. And the next difference is notice. Under bill of exchange, when a bill is dishonored, notice of dishonor is necessary. But under check, notice is not necessary for a check. The next one is sets. Under bill of exchange, foreign bills of exchange are drawn in sets of 3. But in check, it is not so in case of check. And the next difference is discounting. Under bill of exchange, a bill can be discounted with a bank. Under check, a check cannot be discounted. The next difference is stamping. Under bill of exchange, bills are to be sufficiently stamped. Under check, checks need not to be stamped. And the next difference is currency. Under bill of exchange, a bill can be drawn and payable in any currency, but in check, a check is payable only in home currency. The next difference is crossing. Crossing means under a bill of exchange, a bill cannot be crossed. But in check, a check can be crossed either generally or specially so as to ensure payment to the rightful owner. This is called to be as a crossing. The next one is dishonor. Under bill of exchange, on dishonor of a bill, there is a practice of noting and protesting. But in check, no such thing is done on the dishonor of a check. And the last difference is discharge from liability. The drawer of bills is discharged from liability if it is not duty presented for payment. That will comes under bill of exchange. But in check, the drawer of a check is not discharged by delay of the holder in presenting it for payment unless because of the delay his interest have been damaged owing to bank's failure meanwhile. So these are all about the differences between the bill of exchange and the check. The next topic is about promissory note. According to section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, a promissory note is an instrument in writing which contains an unconditional undertaking and which is signed by the maker to pay a certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. This is called to be as a promissory note. So the next we can see the specimen. This is the specimen of promissory note. It may mention the amount and the date and also to whom it is promised to pay the amount. That also will be mentioned in the promissory note. The next topic is about characteristics of promissory note. Under this characteristics, there are 12 points they have given. So we can see each. The first point is a promissory note must be in writing. An oral promise to pay does not constitute a promissory note. So it should be in writing. So the second characteristic is it must contain a promise or undertaking to pay. A mere acknowledgement of indebtedness will not make it a promissory note. And the third one is the promise to pay must be unconditional. In other words, the promise to pay must not depend upon the happening of any uncertain event. And the fourth point is it should be signed by the maker. The signature must be in any part of the instrument and it need not be at the bottom. And the next point is the maker of the note must be a certain person. Where there are two or more makers, they may bind themselves jointly and severability. So, but alternative promises are not permitted in law because where liability lies, no ambiguity must lie. So, the next point is the payee must be certain. A note is valid even if the payee is misnamed or indicated by his official designation only. Alternative payees are permissible in law, but it must be made payable to order originally. And the next point is a promissory note originally made payable to bearer is illegal. The next point is the promise must be for payment of money only. For example, a note containing a promise to deliver 50 bags of rice is not a promissory note. So the next point is the sum payable may be certain and it must be specified in the note itself. And the next point is the amount payable must be in legal tender money of India, and a note containing a promise to pay a certain amount of foreign money is not a promissory note. And the next point is a bank note or a currency note is not a promissory note. And the last point is a promissory note must be sufficiently stamped. These are all about the characteristics of promissory note. The next topic is differentiate between check and promissory note. So there are so many differences have given under check and promissory note. The first difference is nature of order. Under check, a check contains an order to pay money. But in promissory note, it contains an undertaking to pay money. And the second difference is number of parties. Under check, there are 3 parties in a check: drawer, drawee and payee. But in promissory note, there are only 2 parties, the maker and the payee. The third difference is creator of the instrument. Under check, the drawer of a check is a creditor. But in promissory note, the maker of a note, that is the maker of a promissory note, is a debtor. And the fourth difference is identity of the parties to instrument. Under check, the drawer and the drawee can be one and same person, but in promissory note, this cannot be so. This cannot be takes place in the promissory note. The next difference is payableness. Under check, a check is always payable on demand, but in promissory note, it may on the other hand is payable either on demand or after a specified period. The next difference is crossing. A check can be crossed, but a promissory note cannot be crossed. And the seventh difference is stamping. A check need not be stamped, but in promissory note has to be sufficiently, it may be stamped. The eighth difference is discounting. Under check, a check cannot be discounted, but in promissory note, it can be discounted with a banker. And the next difference is grace period. Under check, no days of grace are allowed for payment of a check. But under promissory note, 3 days of grace are allowed for calculating the due date of promissory note. And the last difference is bearer. Under check, a check is payable to order or to bearer. But in promissory note, a promissory note cannot be made payable to bearer. So these are all the differences between check and promissory note. The next topic is about differences between bill of exchange and promissory note. So there are so many differences have given. Under this, the first difference is nature of undertaking. So under bill of exchange, nature of undertaking means a bill of exchange contains an unconditional order to pay money. But in promissory note, a promissory note contains an unconditional undertaking to pay money. And the second difference is number of parties. So in bill of exchange, there are 3 parties in bill of exchange. They are drawer, drawee and payee. Under in promissory note, there are only 2 parties, that is the maker and the payee. Then the third difference is drawer of the instrument. Under bill of exchange, a creditor draws a bill on a debtor. But in promissory note, a debtor executes a promissory note in favor of a creditor. And the fourth difference is identity of the parties. Under bill of exchange, both the drawer and the payee can be one and the same person. But in promissory note, the maker himself cannot be the payee, because the same person cannot be both the promisor and the promisee. The next point, order of liability. So under bill of exchange, the liability of the drawer of a bill is secondary. In other words, when the acceptor dishonors the bill, the liability of the drawer arises as a surety. But in promissory note, the liability of a maker of a promissory note is primary. The next difference is bearer instrument. Under bill of exchange, a bill of exchange can be drawn payable to bearer. But in promissory note, a promissory note cannot be drawn payable to bearer. The next difference is acceptance. Under bill of exchange, a time bill must be accepted by the drawee. But in promissory note, no acceptance is necessary in the case of a promissory note as it is made by the debtor himself. And the next difference is number of sets. Under bill of exchange, foreign bills are drawn in sets of 3, but in promissory notes are not drawn so. The next difference is conditionality. In bill of exchange, a bill may be accepted conditionally, but in promissory note, a note cannot be made conditionally. So the last difference is notice of dishonor. Under bill of exchange, on dishonor of a bill, notice of dishonor must be given to the drawer and other endorsers. But in promissory note, no notice of dishonor is necessary in case of a promissory note. These are the differences between bill of exchange and promissory note. The next one is assignment. The first question is, what are the characteristics of bill of exchange? What are the characteristics of bill of exchange? Any 7. The next question is, distinguish between bill of exchange and check. Distinguish between bill of exchange and check. Thank you.